We are here. I am Basil Barrington.
I'm DJ Keo.
We are back. The Behind the Groove podcast is back. We are going to do something a little different today. Well, I don't think it's different. I mean, because we are getting behind the groove in terms of what we were doing during the lockdown. Now, you know, obviously we've been recording a lot of episodes of the Behind the Groove podcast, talking about DJ stuff, talking about tech, talking about hardware, just talking about all this other sort of stuff. Today, we're going to talk about during lockdown, what have we been watching on different streaming services, be it Netflix, you know, Disney, Discovery, you know, whatever it is, HBO Max. Let me ask you something, right? Since we've been on lockdown, have you seen your watch, you know, in terms of what you've been watching online, tick up a lot more since we've been on lockdown?
Yeah. Usually during like a normal lifetime, before all this craziness happened, I'm too busy to watch shows during the week. I do watch movies. Like I used to go to the theater and watch movies all the time with friends and stuff like that. But actual just shows, just to sit down during the week, I'm just too busy. Like I'm doing events, I'm running around, I'm doing photography. So like at the start of this thing here, it ground everything that I did to a halt. And so I just actually the first 4 or 5 months, I sat down on the couch and all I did was watch TV. So movies, TV shows, whatever. I was watching Miami Vice.
Old school.
DVDs. That's some DVDs of Miami Vice. I was watching that because like it's one of those shows that actually a friend of mine gave it to me. It's one of those shows that I've seen off and on, but I never actually sat down and watched the whole season. So That's show true. Does not hold up on any level. It's the most ridiculous mismanagement of firearms and police procedures. But it's funny that the older you get and the more you see of TV shows and how they do things, you're like, no, you can't do that. I'm not a police officer, but I know you can't do that. But yeah, this is ridiculous. So I watched that, and I'm a movie buff, so I watched a lot of movies, like a lot of movies, catching up. I watched movies like from the Oscars. I have a group of my friends. We pick and choose movies that we think other people would like or whatever. So I've been doing that pretty much since January last year up until yesterday. I've been doing that.
Now,
in between work.
You know, the Miami Vice thing, I remember that like just growing up, and man, they had like they were always, back then they were always sort of dressed in a Miami sort of way, right?
Yeah.
You know, big jackets, colorful jackets on boats, you know, just the whole nine. It was such a corny show, but for some reason it was corny.
It was corny awesome.
I was about to say, you know, it was corny, but it was also obviously back then a little bit more interesting. But then when you look at shows today that are sort of in the same vein, they just blow them away, right?
The shootouts, the camera angles, the stuff they can do with cameras today versus back then. Because it's shot on film. And apparently they had one of the biggest budgets on TV.
Wow.
At the time, because they filmed it like a movie. Every show was like a movie. So they were live on, because a lot of those cop shows, they would be on a set.
Yeah.
And then they filmed some scenes outside and they go back to the set. These guys were in Miami. They're in Miami with the cars and inside the mansions. They did everything. They had the power boats, they had all that stuff. And so the funny part about it, because once I started watching it, I was like, I gotta read it. I need to know everything about this stupid show. And they were saying that they created that style because they wanted it to be like MTV. And they wanted to get the MTV viewers because nobody was dressing with the pastel colors and the flannel and whatever. Not flannel,
polyester. You know,
but like
linen.
that kind of style. Yeah, linen and that kind of stuff. Yeah, that nobody dressed like that down there. They're dressing like everybody else was, but this show, the way they filmed it, they made it look so cool that it turned into a thing.
Yeah.
And like the city of Miami was fighting them this entire time because they didn't want a show associated with drugs to represent Miami, the city of
Scarface.
Miami. Yeah. So they were fighting them for permits, the film, and all this kind of stuff. And then they realized, like, oh wait, this is helping the city.
Yeah.
Because property values went up. People were like, "Yo, Miami's crazy. You want to move down here?" So, yeah. When I watch shows, like I need to know everything about the show. I need to know the actor, the director of photography,
right?
Everything I need to know. Who directed it? So yeah, it got me down this rabbit hole about 80s pop culture and all this stuff.
Wow. So, I think like in terms of old school shows, I can watch Star Trek Generations all day. You know, just all day. And I thought that I've seen every episode, and the next thing you know, there's an episode that comes on, and I'm like, wait a minute, I've never seen this before, you know? And it's like, okay, you know? And I always try to go back and watch the old episodes when the Borg was introduced, you know, and it was just like, wow, this is a serious race of people. They're like destructive, they're strong. And it's just like, well, you know, it's just like with any sort of war, like, you know, in human times, you know, you figure out, you know, your opponent and then eventually you defeat them. It was the same thing there. I love going back and forth, you know, with the different sort of shows, you know, be it Generations or, you know, Deep Space Nine.
Did you have a favorite show?
In terms of Star Trek?
Yeah.
Generations all day.
Okay.
But let me stop you right there. Okay. Generations. Okay. We're talking about like old school Star Trek. New school Star Trek. Man, I vegged out on Discovery.
Okay.
I vegged out on Discovery, dude. That's like Paramount, CBS. It was CBS All Access, and then it switched over to Paramount.
Yeah.
So I just, you know,
I was a huge Trek fan. I used to watch that religiously. And
well, have you seen Discovery?
I haven't watched Discovery yet. I haven't watched it yet.
Dude, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like if you went and watched it now, all 3 seasons are available because they were feeding it to you like, you know, episode every week. Right. Yeah. But when I got introduced to it, they had already finished up 2 seasons, right? So I was like, oh, well, here's Discovery. Let me try. Apple TV Plus was giving it to you for 30 days for free. You know, again, it was called CBS All Access. And so I was like, well, let me check it out, right? So I, you know, it was a Friday night. So, you know, it was around 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. I had, you know, gotten comfortable. And I just flipped it on and started watching the season 1 first episode. And I was like, okay, let me see the second one, right? So those 2 seasons that were available, I ended up watching 2 seasons that entire weekend straight. I mean, I watched the first season that Friday night, and I think I finished up at like maybe, 8 or 9 a.m. So I was like, I stayed up the entire night watching it. It's so good. And so I was like really looking forward to like the 3rd season that came on. And so at that point I had, you know, Paramount, so they were feeding it to me weekly. But man, that show is awesome. I also saw Picard. This is again all the stuff that's on Paramount, right? Picard is pretty dope. So that's another sort of like
they only have 1 season of Picard, right? It's not 2 yet.
Yeah, 2 hasn't come out yet. I think they said they were coming out with 2. But man, Star Trek Discovery, dude, forget about it. And when you watch it on Paramount, no commercials, so it's just straight through. And it's pretty dope, man. I'm serious. If you're a Trekkie, you got to watch Discovery.
I'm more Star Wars than Star Trek, but I watched the Deep Space Nine, Generations, the original Star Trek, Voyager.
Voyager was cool.
I've seen pretty much all the movies, but like it's just for me, I'm a space fanatic. I love space.
Yeah.
So, you know, shows like The Expanse or that kind of stuff, like I'll watch those all day. And so just because Star Trek was in space, and even the show The Orville, it's a lot of the people from Star Trek, they went over to that show
Right. Now, isn't that like sort of a comedy?
Yeah, it's a comedy, but
Mhm.
it's in the vein of Star. It's the underpinnings of Star Trek,
Mhm.
but because he couldn't get the rights to Star Trek, the contract broke down because he was supposed to
Okay.
get it and do his new version of Star Trek,
Mhm.
and they couldn't get the rights to work out whatever.
He said,
So
"Screw you! I'm
he's
doing a
like,
comedy."
yeah, I'll make my own. I'll use all the
Wow.
ideas I had for the Star Trek, and I'll make it into a comedy, and I'll put
Oh
this
my.
on Fox, and that was that.
Mhm.
I believe it was. I think Fox had all of the Star Trek before
Well, no,
the
I
current
think
next generation stuff.
well so yeah, Next Generations, that's what it's called. No, that was
Yeah,
all CBS stuff.
those still on
CBS,
CBS.
yeah, that's
I
what
can't remember.
CBS owns
I
all
know,
that, you know.
but see, a lot of these companies they do joint things. So CBS will
Yeah,
own it, but they'll put it on Fox
like in
as a joint
syndication or
thing.
something, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So maybe I mean I'm not sure. I got to look that up. But uh, he was gonna do this for Fox.
Really?
So I think they're trying to get the share of the thing and put it onto to Fox because that's where his home company is over there.
Uh,
Seth
yes,
MacFarlane.
that's him exactly, you know.
Yeah, yeah, he did
Um,
Family Guy. He did
right.
my American Dad.
Mhm.
He's done a bunch of other stuff, but yeah, his
Seth
main thing is
MacFarlane
Family Guy.
is beast mode.
Yeah, yeah,
He's
but he
done
has his
The
production
Family Guy,
company.
American Dad, The Cleveland Show.
Yeah.
Forget about it. This guy is serious with it. You know, you said something about you said you're like sort of into the whole Star Wars stuff. I'm totally into all the Star Wars stuff. I watched every Star
Mhm.
Wars period movie, even when it's on as a rerun, you know, on something, you know, like TNT or something like that. I'm
Mhm.
watching it. But when I was in Pittsburgh,
Mhm.
um, you know, there was an article in the local college newspaper that I was working, you know, at, and they were talking about some really good shows that, you know, students can just like veg out on. And one
Mhm.
of the shows was Star Wars: The Clone Wars, right?
Okay, yeah, that's a great show.
And I was like, well, let me
Excellent
see what
show.
this is all about, right? And
Yeah.
so it was 7 seasons. And so I watched the first one. I was like, oh, this is animated, right?
Mhm.
And dude, I watched Star Wars: The Clone Wars 7 seasons probably 4 times.
Oh
That
wow,
is
yeah,
a great
it is a
animated
good show.
series. Mhm.
It's a great show, and
And,
it sets up the Clone Wars and the Revenge of the Sith. It's like
right.
right there in the middle,
Mhm.
so it gives more backstory about Anakin and what's going
Right.
on Obi-Wan. Yeah.
The backstory you don't even get like with the real movies. You know, I got the backstory like through the animated show, and they also had like a mini sort of movie animated as well.
Mhm.
And this was when the Clone Wars was on Netflix, because now it's not on Netflix, obviously, because
Yeah, they pull it
you
out.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, you have Disney Plus and
Disney.
all that sort of stuff, right? But
Yeah.
man, I vegged out on that joint. I was like, I would come home from work and like
Mhm.
make a margarita and be on a porch and just like watching that like on my iPad all day. You know,
Yeah,
my
man,
wife
it's
was
a
like,
good
"Why are
show.
you watching cartoons?" I'm like, "It's not a cartoon. This is very intricate stuff here." You know.
The writing is good, and the same team that did the Clone
Hmm.
Wars, they're doing the Mandalorian now,
Oh yeah,
and
that's something else.
Mandalorian's a great show.
You know, I haven't seen the second season yet. I did
It's a
watch the
great
first season,
show.
and I
Yeah.
was they were talking about how they were making the Mandalorian, right? The
Mhm.
Mandalorian, they basically said they were using these sort of like LED sort of like they basically they were putting like
Yeah.
everyone in this screen, you know?
So they had this warehouse, and they have
Right.
these LED walls that go
Yeah.
all around you in a circle, and it allows them to create any environment, and just yeah, all you have to do is throw some sand on the ground and maybe put a rock here, and the LED walls will fix
Exactly.
the rest.
Mhm.
And they can do distance, they can make it like blurry or sharp or whatever they can want. And he
Mhm.
used it for spaceships. Like it's they have a documentary about the process of what they
Yeah.
did. And like
Yeah.
a lot of directors are looking at that to help them because you know, lockdowns make it difficult to film a lot of
Right.
stuff around people, whatever, but you can just do that now. It's no big
Mhm.
deal. And the money that you save on the budget by just
Oh my
having this wall
goodness.
here is incredible.
Forget about it.
Yeah, I'm saying you had 2 seasons of this show using this technology and it was seamless. You couldn't tell.
I could not tell, and
Yeah.
I think I need to. And so, okay, so this is the thing I'm starting to do now, right? So I know The Mandalorian came out, but I didn't want to go and purchase Disney Plus, and then have to, have them feed me episodes every week. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait until the entire season is over, get it for 1 month, and veg out on it. Right?
Yeah.
And so I need
A
to
lot
do
of people
that.
are doing that. A lot of people do that for all, because
Yeah.
everybody has, if you pay for Netflix and maybe you have Amazon, generally people are like, well, that kind of covers the most of the stuff I want.
It really does.
Especially if you have cable too, maybe you have HBO Plus or HBO Max or whatever it is. And that kind of, everything you need to see is on pretty much these three platforms.
Yeah.
But now you have Paramount, now you have Disney Plus. There's so many different things that's out there, and they're all battling each other. Yeah. And HBO Max is a wholly different thing than it used to be before, and it's complicated. So we're in the middle of the streaming wars right now.
The streaming wars. It really is the streaming wars. You said we can't forget Hulu as well, because you have the
Hulu's another one.
Ever so popular Handmaid's Tales, and then also they had the Wu-Tang sort of show there as well, which I saw, which was pretty awesome. They have Dave East playing Method Man. It's a pretty good depiction of how they came up, and they actually signed up for like another season at least, so we know season 2 is coming out. You said HBO Max, so HBO Max is sort of releasing these movies that are supposed to be released in theaters,
upending the whole cinema thing.
It's over.
They blew it up. It's
over. So check this out. Yesterday, I went to my HBO Max app, and they were like, "Oh, you have to renew your subscription." And I know what that's for, because I use Roku devices. So Roku and YouTube TV are having sort of a battle now. So Roku is like, "Well, no, we want you to do this." And so now, if you're new, you can't download the YouTube TV app, right? And I went to HBO. Tenet was there, right?
Yeah.
So I watched Tenet for the first time last night. I will say this. First of all, what is the deal with these long movies? I mean, what is this, The Godfather or something, dude? And I'm like, this is ridiculous.
I love that movie. So I saw that in the theater last year.
Okay, so we got to talk about that, man. Listen.
Yes, let's talk about Tenet.
I've
seen it maybe 6 or 7 times now.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I may need to watch it again, to be honest with you.
You have to watch it. The first time I watched it, I was like, this is okay. And then I watched it again. I was like, holy shit, this is great.
It's a highbrow sort of movie,
Yeah, you have to watch it a couple times, because things are not going to... Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that happens. And then I don't want to see spoilers for people who haven't watched it, but there's a lot of things that happen that you will not notice the first time you watch it at all. And I was watching this guy hit a breakdown on YouTube, and here's a factor for you. Could you understand what they were saying during the movie?
Okay.
How clear was it without the subtitles?
Okay, let me tell you something. I'm glad you brought that up. About 30 minutes in the movie, I was like, I need subtitles, right? Yeah. And then it was like, oh, well, wait a minute. He was just talking, Yeah. I know, right? I like the plot. I'll tell you, first watch, right? Mm-hmm. I was impressed with the plot. The trailer makes you think that this is the Black James Bond, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's not the next or the Black James Bond, because James Bond always had women, first of all, right? He always had a martini shaken, not stirred, right? So all these things were going on, right? And the trailer was like sick. And then once you get into the movie, it's a very intricate, thick, highbrow sort of plot. The storyline is thick and intricate and highbrow as well.
Complicated, to say the least.
It's complicated. And so it was really long. So I watched about an hour and 45 minutes. And then I just finished the rest of it, the other like 40 minutes this morning. And I was like, oh, okay. So this is very interesting. But you can also feel the way they left it that there needs to be like a second one, right? A follow-up. But I'll say this.
Yes and no.
I'll say
Yes
this
and no.
first watch, and I'll just be completely honest with you. First watch, I wasn't that impressed. And again, I just watched it. But I also said to myself, I need to watch this again because it's such a tech futuristic sort of movie. And if you think that way, you want to get into it. You want to know what it was all about. I did in the middle of it, I started understanding what they were saying because the guy sort of alluded to what they were not saying and how you had to kind of understand what they were saying.
Well, I'll say this without being a spoiler. There's two things that's going on right now. The volume with the audio is disruptive on purpose. That's why you were like, what the hell? I got to put the subtitles on. I saw this in the theater without the subtitles, and I was like, what in the hell did I just see? And then I watched it again. The second time I watched it, I had subtitles, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But for you, the viewing experience is designed in a way to be disruptive, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
it's designed to be confusing and disruptive, but the clues and everything about the movie is on the screen in front of you.
Yeah.
So, like everything that's happening, the scenes that are for, I guess people can kind of tell things are moving forwards and backwards. So it's a time heist type movie.
Yeah.
But why and what's happening when these things are happening, you're not going to notice on the first watch. Is not going to happen. So like if you don't like those type of movies, it's never going to be good for you. This is always going to be trash.
Yeah.
But if you kind of like those kind of movies, and I'm a huge sci-fi fan. Like I love
all day
space and time travel and everything. Like have you seen the movie Looper?
Looper?
Yeah, with Rian Johnson. It's with Bruce Willis and
is that can I get that on some sort of a streaming service now?
I'm not sure which one it's on, but yeah, I saw this is another movie I saw in the theater.
Really?
I think it's on one of the streaming services. It should.
Is it sort of like highbrow, like complicated like that? I love movies like that. I want to watch them again. Right?
It's a time travel movie about this guy. It's in the future. I say like 2050 or something like that. I can't remember what year it is, but so there's people in the future who send criminals back into past to have them eliminated so they can't be found in the future. So they worked out time travel in the future, and then they have lowbrow criminals back in the past, like say 2021 or whatever. They're eliminating bad guys from 2050, if you will. And it's another one of those movies where it helps on the second viewing, but it's an interesting movie.
I can do the second. I can definitely do. Watch it a second time. Like just really getting back to really quickly Tenet. Again, it's. Have you? Well, let me ask you this, right? Have you ever seen a movie with that sort of like storyline? Like just from that sort of like highbrow technical
like
sort of level. Yeah.
I'm
gonna say me.
I would say Memento.
Memento? What's that?
Yeah, from Christopher Nolan. It's one of his first movies.
Really?
It's a movie that's it's black and white and in color, and it's telling this guy has amnesia, and basically he's not amnesia. He has short-term memory loss. And so he can't remember the things that he was in a bad accident. Is like somebody came into his house and killed his wife and tried to kill him. And he has no memory. He can't remember things after. He can remember long-term things, but short-term things he can't remember. So he tattoos things on his body to kind of remember what's happening. So the story is told backwards.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, the whole movie is backwards. You're watching the end of the movie at the beginning, and slowly stuff happens, and you kind of see what's going on, and then timeline aligns up, but it's going from back to front the entire time.
Really?
It's kind of like Pulp Fiction.
Okay.
That's another movie where time is loopy. It's not told in the linear progression.
Right.
But yeah, Memento is another movie like that. It probably, I saw that and I wasn't paying attention halfway through, and I was like, I gotta watch this again. Like it's important.
If you're like, I'm definitely gonna watch Tenet again. I want to know if you watched a movie. It was a Netflix original called Anon.
Anon?
Anon.
I don't think so. What's that about?
Anon. Anon. Dude. Okay, this is a quick hitter because it's only like an hour, 30 minutes, an hour, 45 minutes long. Okay. And it's basically some, it's in the future, and it's a highly advanced technical sort of like highbrow sort of movie. And it's basically, let me see if I can pull it up here. And let me see here. Let me just go here.
Clive Owen?
Yes, there we go. So basically it says in the near future, private memories are recorded and crime has almost ceased. So basically in this sort of flick, right? Because your memories are being recorded, the officials, the police, the government knows if you have created caused a crime, right? So, and I'm not giving anything away here anyway, but but because this is technology and everything is based on what's going on, like, with some sort of a chip in your eye or something like that. So because this technology is hackable, so these people have been able to hack that sort of system and, put pre-recorded like things into people's head, making them think, like accusing this person of like murdering someone because they put a recording in their sort of like chip, and
okay.
Yeah, so it's like, and so people are like, well, you killed this person, because we have, the memory, the recording from your memory chip. And it's like, well, no, I didn't do that, and so people are getting killed and everything. And I was watching that and I was like, whoa. This is some serious stuff because imagine, it's just like with it's almost like Minority Report.
Have you seen the movie Strange Days?
Strange Days. No, is that like a sci-fi joint?
Yeah, it's a sci-fi movie where people can record experiences out of their minds and they're sold on the black market. It came out like 1995 or 94, I think.
You see where people were thinking even Angela back Bassett. Then. Oh, yeah, this was Angela Bassett?
Yeah, it's Angela Bassett and somebody else. I can't remember.
Wow.
My mind is going crazy right now. Hold on, I'll tell you.
Let's see here. Let's put what's the movie called again?
Strange Days. Ralph Fiennes.
Okay, cool.
And so people can kind of record people's memories. They have this thing they put on their head, and they can, if somebody was like in a murder or something bad, like traumatic happened to them, like they died in a car crash or whatever, they can put these things on them and take out their last memories. And it's kind of like a drug in the future, or people want to experience these things. And it has that kind of vibe. I need to watch this now. I'm gonna add this to my list. Wow. I like weird movies like that. Kind of because I think that Hollywood kind of sets the tone for where a lot of things are going on in the future.
Yeah.
And so you can see, like, say for instance, Star Trek. They had tablets in Star Trek.
Yeah.
And people, they were like, we have to figure out how to make this thing.
Right.
And everyone's got iPads now. This is from Star Trek.
Well,
and communicators and that kind of stuff. There's Bluetooth.
Yeah.
Took a lot of that stuff from it.
Think about Minority Report when they were just like swiping things, and now it's like we have that technology. You can swipe stuff, right? So it's just like, wow. So Minority Report was pretty crazy too. Let me tell you about I wrote down a short list of things I've been watching. I'm just gonna go over the list really quickly, okay? Altered Carbon on Netflix. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, see, that's another concept like that where, you got people can live infinity years, and you take your memories out and put it into another thing. Is that concept?
You got your sleeves, you got stacks. It's just like
yeah.
You're cloning. It's like crazy. I watched
that world's bonkers.
And they also have like an animated sort of movie too to go along with that. I watched Lupin, which is a French show about like this art like.
Did you watch the cartoon?
Art theft.
There's like an animated movie about
I didn't watch that. Is that on Netflix?
It's a huge thing. I don't know if it's on Netflix. It might be. Or Amazon. It's on one of them. It's a huge French cartoon.
Really?
It got like 30 movies or whatever. It's a big deal.
Like art heist. People still in art. This one guy who's still in art.
The main character, the Lupin, he's the main character for this thing. And so the Netflix show is like kind of a spin-off of that.
Right, okay.
Of the original French thing.
I would love to watch the cartoon, dude. I'm serious. And then the other thing I was watching is Dolomite and is my name, Rhythm and Flow. I thought that was pretty cool. There's something called the Black Godfather, which is dope. I mean, that's just like, who knew this black guy had all of this power? I mean, you couldn't do anything until you saw this black guy. Even Bill Clinton, they were like, how can I win this this race? They were like, go see this guy, right? Quincy, obviously. Yeah. All the animated Transformers stuff I was watching on Netflix. I love the Transformers. I get into that. All the animated stuff anyway. The Social Dilemma, real scary, but I already sort of knew that stuff. The Ripper, they were talking about, this is a documentary about like Jack the Ripper. The Ripper, that is, if you're into like sort of crime sort of documentaries like that, that's pretty serious too. I already spoke about Discovery and Picard, The Mandalorian. On Amazon, another animated flick I just started watching earlier this week and finished it in a day because it's only like 8 episodes, called Invincible.
That's a great show.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I watched it.
Is that hard or what? Man, listen, that show is hard, dude. I'm serious. I was like, whoa. I mean, the way that the goriness of it and just people getting Swiss cheese, and just like, wow, this is
it's a great show.
This is animated.
It's a good take on comic books and superheroes, and it's an interesting take on it. I'll put it like that. It's a great show. Yeah, and I like how they handled it versus. They did it in a unique way. I think this is the best, without ruining for people who haven't watched it yet.
Right.
You need to have the stomach for some of these scenes, though. Oh my god.
Dude, listen.
But like that universe, I want to see more of that universe. Like I can't wait for season 2.
I think with this animated stuff outside of Netflix, because Netflix puts out a lot of anime and a lot of animated stuff. And, they just never come out with the second season, right? Like Knights of Sidonia. It's just like, where is it? I've been waiting for it, right? It's that's like 4 years ago, right? But the Invincibles is just like, with this sort of, animated sort of like stuff that's more as serious as a real movie, right? They can make this and put it out a lot quicker now. It's just people working behind computers in the studio, right?
Yeah, it's all voice work. They can do. There's no lockdown for that. Just get to work.
It's just like, you got like a little like a microphone at home, a recorder. Like, here's a WAV file. Go ahead and do it. That is a great show. That's the Netflix. I'm sorry, that's the Amazon stuff. A show that I just went. The other Amazon show really quickly is Without Remorse with Michael B. Jordan. Did you see that?
That just came out. I haven't seen that yet. That just came out, right?
That's that's like on some super duper SEAL Team 6 sort of joint.
It's that Jack Ryan universe with the
so it's the same, sort of dude, if you're into like, again, that SEAL Team 6 sort of stuff, man, it's crazy. Just really quickly on some like animated stuff I've been watching on Netflix, Castlevania. Love that show. It's just like, crazy. Ghost in the Shell, SAC 2045. Ultraman is sort of like Invincibles. Did you see Ultraman?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
The animated joint. And then also Blood of Zeus is pretty sick too. The show that I went bonkers over, and this is an old show, is The Expanse.
Yeah, I was just about to talk about that. That's my favorite show on TV right now, bar none.
Done.
I love that show. I was from the beginning, once it got released, I was like, I need to know everything about this show. This show is great. That whole concept of realism in space, because like on Star Trek, everyone's walking around, they have gravity. The Expanse is more realistic about what would be happening in space. Kind of like they have the engines to move faster, but it takes a strain on your body, all that stuff. Even with the giant ring and the whatever, but the concept overall for space travel and realistically what it's like for space battles and that kind of stuff. I love that show.
Man, what's weird is like I think this was a sci-fi show. This was on Sci-Fi, the Sci-Fi Network, and
they
Amazon picked it up.
First 4 seasons or 3 seasons, I think they had.
Right,
and then it got canceled.
Yeah,
and Amazon snatched it up real quick.
They snatched it up, man, and I'm like, you got the Martians and you got Earth, and man, I started watching this show, Keo. You're not gonna believe this, right? I stumbled onto this show.
Oh, really? Okay.
I was like, oh, this is sci-fi, and I just looked at the trailer, and every time I went to Amazon Prime Video, Amazon kept like saying, hey, you may want to check this out. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll check it out. So I started at season 4 because that's what they, gave us, right? Like up front.
Oh, you started in the middle. Oh, okay.
So then I was like, okay, well, let me watch this. And I was like, oh, okay. So I watched 3 episodes and I was like, okay, I got to go to season 1, right? Episode 1. Yeah. I watched 7 seasons. Is it 6 or 7 seasons that they're giving us up front?
6 seasons now.
I watched 6 seasons in a week and a half. Dude,
that show's incredible.
That show is incredible. That is a great word. That show is incredible because you have the actors. Again, like you said, this whole the Martians, and the Earth, and then all
the
of these the Belters.
Yeah.
Who are the? I mean, like, and if you had to like say these are the Belters, like based on like how we live today, who would the Belters be, and who would the Martians be?
I think Martians would be probably, It's the Martians are a first world country because basically they took all of the scientists,
right,
and they went to Mars. All the smart people went to Mars, and then the Belters were all the poor people that wanted to work and get out in space. Right. And they got stranded out there, and then you had generations of them stranded out there. Right. And whatever's left on Earth is America, basically.
Right.
Is in decline and still holding on to power. So
yeah, so weird because the Martians took all of like the the high tech and the scientists and
all
everything.
The smart scientists, all the army people went to Mars.
And they're still not as powerful as America, Earth. The Belters, like moving on to this, the different seasons and episodes, they get stronger based on, just things that they've taken, right?
Yeah.
And
repurposed and redesigned. Yeah.
Yeah. And, the Belters, how they live is sort of the same way, like how they have a specific set of people in Altered Carbon. Like these people live here, right? And so it's this sort of weird sort of place, dark, people still in sleeves, and everything, it's just like, so I do see a little bit there. And that's why, like, when I finished up The Expanse, I said, let me finish watching Altered Carbon. But The Expanse is my favorite joint. I cannot wait until the next season comes up. Because
the next season's the last one, though.
It's the last one, dude.
Do you know about the books?
I don't.
Have you checked into some of the books? Yeah.
No.
So they follow the books fairly closely. Because the writers of the books are involved in the show.
Okay.
And so their books, I don't want to ruin it, but it follows the stuff pretty closely, and it's interesting. But the way they set up the show, next season's the last season.
So
for a good reason from the books.
So okay, with a show this great, do you think that a couple things here? One, I think that a show like this, we need an animated series, right? That would be kind of sick, right?
Yeah. A show like that, I would love to explore the rest of that universe.
Yeah.
Because you have the main characters and everyone's following everybody, but like there's all this other stuff going on. Like in the last season, you had the people that were stuck in Baltimore. And what they're doing down there. That's a show.
It's like, what are you doing in Baltimore? Like, you could have just come down to my house. We could have had drinks or something, you know? I mean, that's like 30 minutes away. Come on.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just like
that's a show right there. Like what's going on with Earth or what's going on in Mars. That's a show. Or the Belters. That's a show.
Or the guy who went to
the planet.
Right. Or the guy who went to Baltimore. I can't remember his name, but like, what sort of business was he in? Right?
He's a mob enforcer.
Right. But that would sort of be a nice spinoff too, right?
Yeah, I could watch anybody from that universe and be happy with the show.
Man, it's
great.
That's a serious, that may be that's definitely one of that is hands down something that I just vegged out on. I was just like, oh, and the other thing is, these aren't like 5 and 6 episode seasons. These are like 13, 14 episode seasons. So, for me to like finish up with work, finish up doing whatever I was doing.
There and knock it out.
Dude, I'm telling you.
Put 5 hours in, man. Gotta go.
It's tough because, it's so good and you want to see what's going on next, right? And it's so good. If that's your favorite show, do you have a second favorite show that you've been vegging out on?
Vegging out on, I'm watching Better Call Saul.
Oh, really?
I was a huge Breaking Bad fan, so I love Breaking Bad.
Okay.
And so I've been watching Better Call Saul, like just vegging on that. Let me see. Have you seen this show called Counterpart?
Counterpart. No, is it on a streaming service?
It was on, I'm trying to remember which one. I think it was on Stars. I can't remember which one.
Really?
It's either TNT or Stars.
Okay.
And basically it's these scientists discovered a portal to a gateway. It's a parallel universe. And so there's the duplicate of everybody on the other universe. And so they have a government agency that keeps track of the portal between the two universes. And so the government between the two universes, they transfer, it's like a Cold War. So it has the feeling of like a movie from like 1960 something between Russia and America, with the Cold War, with spies traveling between the countries and hiding out and whatever. So that's that. It has that feeling of that kind of show. But so there's the two parallel universes, and you have to go through this border between the two of them. And there's a duplicate, and everybody's lives are different because different things happen in the other universe.
I have seen this. This is, and I have to tell you, finish. Go ahead and finish up. I have seen this, but yes, go ahead and finish up. It's on Amazon.
Yeah. I think it's on Amazon now. Yeah.
It's on Amazon because I think it was on Stars, and Amazon picked it up.
Yeah, then it got canceled. So it's only 2 seasons.
It's only 2 seasons. I started watching it. That's J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
I started watching. He's also in Invincibles. He's the lead character.
Yeah, he's the father. Yeah.
But I started watching it, and I was just like, I was just like, okay, but I couldn't finish it. I think I watched 2 episodes. So you're saying it's pretty good?
I like the Cold War aspect of it because they're using current technologies, and one world is like regular today and the other world is like kind of more advanced, and they're more advanced because they had a virus wipe out half of the world,
right?
And so they were forced to become more technologically advanced and do things to improve their lives. But they share between the two worlds, they share information and technology with each other, and they introduce it to their planet, and the other one introduced it. So like I like the Cold War aspect of it, like the 1940 Germany movies or whatever like that.
Mm-hmm.
With the WW2, like I love all that kind of stuff. I'm a huge fan of those kind of things. So that's that. They drew me in instantly because like I was like, okay, I got it. This is this is the Great Wall of Berlin.
Yeah,
over here.
J.K. Simmons is actually pretty dope too, right?
Oh, he's a great actor.
He's pretty dope, right? So you're saying like, okay, The Expanse is your first, and Counterparts, or Counterpoint, is your second, huh? Counterparts.
Yeah. Counterpart,
really?
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. So let me ask you this here, right? Is there any content? Okay, so we're talking about these streaming services. Most of them you have to pay for. Mm. Let's just finish up on one other streaming service you may have to pay for, which is HBO Max, which you're able to watch like movies like Tenet and some of these other releases that they put out, such as
Godzilla, Mortal Kombat.
Oh, did you see that?
Yeah, I saw all those. I see all of it.
Oh, you saw. So the only one I haven't seen yet was Mortal Kombat, and I haven't seen that yet because I was watching an episode of Double Toasted, and those are like the guys who they're on YouTube and they do sort of these movie reviews, and they blasted that joint. It's just like, wow.
It's terrible, but interesting. I feel like that.
Really?
Because like when the monsters are fighting each other, it's awesome, but you can't explain why the people matter in the movie. They don't.
That's what he was saying.
It's literally ants on the screen. Like, these guys don't matter. You can't do anything. So like to see what your perspective is irrelevant. Like between Godzilla and King Kong.
What do you think about Godzilla versus Kong? You thought that was pretty good?
It was a good fight.
I mean, they in the end they were like, "Well, you don't mess with me, and I won't mess with you." And they like,
it didn't make any sense.
I see peace.
It didn't make any sense. Right. I think that they're trying to say that once Godzilla expanded his dominance, and he's the top of the pyramid, he was like, "Okay, I don't have to kill you anymore."
Right.
Because no one, I mean, I'm not fighting you every day, whatever. But like, movie was epic. Because I've seen all of the MonsterVerse movies. The Skull Island. I watched Skull Island in 4D, which I do not suggest you do.
You said 4D?
Yeah. They have theaters here, so the seats move. They have this thing, and this is why I almost lost it. I'm eating my popcorn, and there's this thing that it sprays mist to give you a feeling of like if you're in a swamp or something. Okay. If somebody gets shot or whatever and blood squirted on the screen, it shoots this mist at you.
Okay, see,
I almost lost it when that happened. I was like, what
I was about to say, someone's getting a lump sandwich if that happens to me, dude.
Yeah, because I didn't know that was there. So I'm eating my popcorn, and then this spider thing happens, and it squishes this bug and kills somebody and kills the bug, and the thing squirts everywhere.
And you have to pay for that?
Hit me in the face. Yes, I didn't know that was there though.
Dude,
because
come on.
The way they present the 4D is, you have like a base thing on your chair, and then your speakers surround you instead of around the whole theater. Okay. So it's a more intimate experience. So I was like, what the hell? Let's watch it on this. And then a lot of stuff that was gross happened, and it's just don't do that.
Yeah. I saw that. That was. I thought it was, it's just something I would watch. I wouldn't watch it again. One of the first HBO Max sort of movies I watched was WW 1984. Dude,
that's a terrible movie. So
this is the problem with a lot of flicks, and also this sort of like infiltrated like well, I won't even say that, right? But what they've done is they've taken this Wonder Woman series, and I was a big Wonder Woman person growing up. I mean, when it came on, was it CBS or NBC? Anyway, I was watching it, just the regular TV series. It was dope.
Linda Carter one?
Yeah, Linda Carter, it was pretty dope, And here you have this one. This person is like clueless in a lot of ways. The plot is really weird.
Did you watch the first Wonder Woman movie?
I did. It was boring.
Okay.
And this one was super boring. It's just like they are not doing the Wonder Woman TV series any justice because that was a serious television show. And here they're mixing like sexuality, with, all of this stuff, and it's just like, okay, this is what's going on here, right?
I'll say this. I liked the first Wonder Woman movie. The second one I didn't like, and that was more studio interference.
Right.
There's a big battle going on with Warner Brothers trying to upend movies. And like they get out of their way, man. Let the creative people be creative. Like you guys don't know what you're doing.
What about
you
the
guys
Justice
have the money?
League?
I love that movie. I like
Batman
and Superman.
I like that.
Warner Brothers has lost their ever mind. Like they don't know what they're doing over there.
What do you think? How they brought Superman back? Was that realistic to you?
The way they did it?
Yeah.
In the universe, Superman just comes back on his own.
Like here I am. Right.
Yeah. He dies. Like it dies in a similar way, and then he comes back like a couple of months later or a year later, and it's a different way to do it. I think with Zach, with the movie, I think that he's trying to do a different way, a different take, and still give you a feel of the comic books, but not exact.
Yeah,
because a lot of people want it to be exact like the comic books were, and he's like, "Well, you can't do it modern." Superman, if Superman came here today, everybody would lose their minds. They'll be like, "Yay, Superman saved the cow tree." They'd be like, "There's an alien here; he can kill us at any minute."
Listen,
so
I appreciated that movie. I will say that I don't get the whole long movie things, right? I mean, if you look at a movie like Scarface, right, which is a cult classic, but it was interesting every second. There was something interesting in it every second, every minute. You look at like a Godfather, which actually had like intermissions, like back in the day in movie theaters, it was so long, right? Some of these long movies, and I think the Justice League was almost 3 hours, or was it 3 hours, 10 minutes?
It's 3.5 hours, I think.
Dude, come on, man.
Originally, the goal was to make it into a miniseries, and at the last second, the studio was like, "Why don't you just put it together?" And he's like, "But you told us to make this into a miniseries, make it because like there says each thing is an episode. It says part 1, part 2, it goes up to part 6, and there's the epilogue. It was supposed to be cut up as a TV show." And in the last second, they're like, "Yeah, let's make it a movie."
Oh, really? It was supposed to be like, well, this would have been like a really, really, really long television show, like a bunch of seasons.
Yeah, it was supposed to be the way they allowed him to do the cut. I don't know if you know the full story about the original movie, but his movie was 2 hours and 40 something minutes or something like that.
Okay.
That's the original movie that he was supposed to give to Warner Brothers.
Really?
And then his daughter died. And so he left the project, and then Joss Whedon came in and butchered that thing to all hell. And then the fans were online like, "Dude, what the hell? Why'd you let him put this movie out? There's a better movie out there." So basically the studio is like, "Okay, we got HBO Max, we can put the movie there, but let's make it a mini series so people keep watching, and then we'll get some more views, whatever." And in the last second, they're like, "Nah, make it a movie."
Yeah.
So he's like, "But I have it set up for," okay, all right.
Yeah.
4 hours there you go.
Right. I understand, I understand putting out a movie that's 3 hours long.
They could have trimmed it a lot to make it 2 hours and 20 minutes or whatever it was supposed to be.
But, if you're going to release that, to a streaming service, I get that. I understand it because it's like you can pause it, go, get you another drink, go to the bathroom, come back, watch it the next day. You can break it up, right? I get that. But sometimes when you're into a movie, you want to sit there and watch it, and a lot of times if I'm watching a flick, it's like really late because, I want to create the scene and everything,
Mm.
so it's just like, okay, so, and who knows, I may be drinking as well, so I may get a little tired, while I'm drinking. But I did like this. I did like it. I thought that there were a lot of gaps in the movie. Like there was some, sometimes you have to move a plot along. And I think a lot of sort of directors, they'll like just sort of pack things in that really don't make any sense, or you could basically get rid of, right? Just, and like you said, cut the movie down.
They for sure could have trimmed it down and made it down to 2 hours or whatever. But I think that for him, there's a whole backstory behind it. And it was like therapy for him because of his daughter. Like his daughter died while he was editing the movie or putting it together for the final thing. So
was she young, older? I mean, what was it?
She was young. It was suicide.
Oh wow!
So it was like a personal tragedy that upended their lives.
Wow!
For like 3 years or whatever, how long until this release came out?
Yeah, that's tragic.
So I think the original one came out in 2017. So like 2016, this happened, and then he didn't touch the movie for a bunch of years. The studio just hacked it to pieces, and then HBO came along after AT&T bought them. HBO was like, "Hey, we need some content. Want to put your movie out here?" So he's like, all right.
Wow.
But Warner Brothers needs to get their act together.
Yeah. What do you think about releasing movies on these online platforms, these streaming platforms, and also in theaters? And do you think
I'm
that eventually? Oh, you like to go to the theaters?
I like to go to the theaters. I prefer to watch the movie in the theater. So whether it's at home or in the movie, I would rather watch it in the theater. Just out of like, I saw Tenet in the middle of this thing last summer.
Lockdown. Wow.
This thing was crazy town.
Did people have like masks and everything on in the theater?
Yeah. This is mask in the theater. You have to wear the mask to go inside. And
how'd you eat your popcorn and everything?
I didn't order any popcorn. I sat there straight like this.
You were like,
I took my mask off. I took it off, but like I was just sitting there straight, like don't touch anything. I'm gonna see this movie in here. I want to keep theaters alive, and because like for me, I understand the theaters. They're in dire straits right now. Dude, you have to pay so many people in the theaters, and they got to give the money back to the movie companies and all this other stuff. So it's hurting. So
I think it's a matter of time. It's just a matter of time. Because
I think it's gonna evolve. Yeah, they may do like drive-in theaters or something because people want to be social.
Right. And I think it's cool if you say, hey, we're going to release it in the theaters and also on a streaming platform, because some people are into going to the theaters, getting that whole experience, getting that social experience. That's good. But do it on both platforms. Are there any other movies that I may not, I probably, like I said, only watch 3 movies on HBO Max. Are there any other movies on HBO Max that you watch that were in the theater as well?
Actually, HBO Max, I don't know, because we don't have HBO Max here. We're things another company. That does it. HBO Max is just America,
right?
I've seen. Have you see? I have a weird taste. I like British gangster movies.
Yeah,
I love sci-fi stuff. I love anything about war. I like space, anything space. Political stuff. I like documentaries, those kind of things. The last movie. Before all the craziness happened, the last movie I saw in the theater before that was 1917. That's the World War I movie.
Yeah.
And that was shot to be presented as one take. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I did.
That's
pretty good. That's let me just say this really quickly. Something else so the one thing that I'm nuts about, that I go crazy about, that I love, that I've, just something that I've loved doing and loved knowing about for like 20, 30, 40 years, military documentaries. And there was this channel called AHC, which is American Heroes Channel, or, the military channel, or sometimes the Smithsonian channel or Discovery channel. They show these sort of military documentaries, like, the Second World War in color and all of that sort of stuff. So 1917 was pretty cool. I also watched Dunkirk. That's kind of weird, because I already knew about it because I watched the documentary and knew about the history about it, right? So it's just
that movie's not so linear, though.
Right,
it's all over the place.
Right,
yeah.
So it's just like, I love movies like that. There was a movie that Tom Hanks did, like for...
the Greyhound?
Dude, listen.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something, man. Apple TV, man, the way they do their original movies, I don't know, man. It's just ridiculous, for real. Greyhound
How many movies do
sick.
they have for Apple TV? Do they have a lot of content now, or they just started to build it up?
They're starting to build it up, but you have to, we talk about Apple all the time, right?
Netflix took forever to have their library of movies.
Right, but they created the template, though, so Apple sort of gets it. And, Apple is also, just that whole luxury tech brand. And now they're like in the Hollywood space. I think they'll be able to get it really quickly. They have these shows. The movies are doing really well. Oprah's there. They have like the directors, everything else. It's going to take some time, like you said, because Netflix did it. Amazon came along. Hulu has originals. Everyone's popping up. They're doing everything like that. It will take some time for Apple, but the movies and the shows that I've seen on Apple thus far, man, they hit it out the box. Really, really quickly, one other thing, you said something like with the movie Tenet, they sort of, put the movie together deliberately like that, because I thought that, again, I saw this yesterday and then I finished up today and I was just like, man, the audio in this movie sucked, right? Yeah. I had to put the volume on 100. I was like, dude, what's going on, right? And I'm just like, and so that's when I was like, you know what? Let me lower it and put the subtitles on. And then when the subtitles came, when I put the subtitles on, now you were able to read it a bit more. The other thing with subtitles is with Lupin. I was watching it in this original language, French, because like I was telling you before, I took French in school and I would really like to pick it up again.
And I
was like, oh, okay, so I was kind of picking it up. Things were starting to come back to me, but I want to see if I can find this this animated series you was talking about. Lupin.
It's a bunch of movies. There's a lot of movies, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you this here. Okay, so we've been talking about mostly paid content. And so you have the behemoth of free content, YouTube. So what have you been vegging out on YouTube?
Ooh, I like anything regarding filmmaking and that kind of stuff. So and photography.
Okay.
So that's a lot of my times watching people who are giving tips for lighting or that kind of stuff for photography. I'm a huge fan of that kind of stuff. So that's definitely one of the major things I watch. Sometimes I watch live streams, like anything like interviews with people or with athletes or musicians or artists, whatever. I like the Drink Champs podcast.
Oh my goodness!
I like Rogan's podcast.
I can't mess with them anymore, dude.
It depends on who's on his show. I find it this interesting, but
EFN and
I like,
EFN and Nori, man. Like after like the 2.5 hours, Nori is like done.
Oh, he's losing every time.
He's lit.
He's drinking. He's getting high. He's doing the weed. Yeah.
The whole thing. Is there a specific? You were talking about movies. There is a section on the Vanity Fair YouTube channel, and they have this guy who is a movie poster designer, right? And he sort of discusses movie posters, right?
Okay, I haven't seen that.
Fascinating, man. I'm just like, wow, this guy, and he talks about like when you look at different posters, what they mean, and
Mm.
based on like different shapes and different colors, and like, wow, this is pretty cool, man. It's a lot of interesting stuff, man. I think one of the shows that I really have been getting into is Mac Break Weekly.
Okay.
It's like a weekly 2.5, 3 hour show where, just a bunch of Mac, Apple geeks get together and they talk about what's popping off in like Apple world.
Yeah, all those guys are on there.
Yeah, Renee
Yeah.
Ritchie, all those cats,
Mhm.
and obviously I watch, Marquez Brownlee. He's a beast. Got to watch him. Is there like do you have like a go-to YouTube channel you check out all the time, at least once a day, or like if they're pumping out content weekly?
There's a YouTube channel that does reviews,
Mm-hmm.
it's mobile tech reviews or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and they talk about DJ gear. This is Lady Lisa Gage, I think I forgot her name is, and she does reviews of technology,
Mm-hmm.
laptops, tablets, that kind of stuff. I like that. I
Mm-hmm.
love Vegging out watching this show because she talks about specs
Mm-hmm.
and all this that kind of information.
Right.
I
Mm-hmm.
do watch I watch Mojax whenever he posts stuff about
Yeah.
DJ gear.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mojax is
like
Mojax. He does it, man. He knows what he's doing, man. I will admit,
Mhm.
no fronting. When I started my YouTube channel, some of the people I watched and that sort of inspired me was
Mhm.
Mojax, Ian Golden from like DJ Tech Tools.
Yeah.
Um,
He
you
he
know,
doesn't make videos anymore. I haven't seen anything from him in a long time.
he made a video like, I mean, he's like, he came out of the game for a minute, I mean,
Yeah.
if you remember years ago, he had put out like a, hey, we're shutting down, we need, if anyone can
Mhm.
help us, and he picked up an investor, this, that, and the other.
Mhm.
I also watch what's his name, Kareem, or oh boy from DJ
Oh,
Booth.
DJ Booth. Yeah.
Yeah, I watch him sometimes too. But like, really, my inspiration was, watching Mojax and also like Ian Golden from like DJ Tech Tools, and I was like, yo, these guys, they get it,
Mhm.
man. It's just like, and no one's really like rocking it like Mojax,
Mhm.
right, in this sort of space.
Yeah, he stands head and shoulders above everybody
Yeah,
else
he
as
gets it,
far as
man.
like reviewing the gear and
Yeah.
making the gear like
Mm-hmm.
distilling the information about the gear
Right.
in not a techie way, but a
Right.
way that kind of makes sense to average users.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people get too techie or they have no showmanship,
Right.
and it's kind of it makes it difficult to watch that stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
I think he's one of the best people that does
Yeah.
it.
So getting back to it, yes, Mojax is a beast,
Mm-hmm.
but there are a lot of other sort of like YouTube channels in this sort of DJ producer space.
Mm-hmm.
White Sea Studios, I watch. He's sort of like
Okay.
sort of an ultra geeky, sort of like European guy, and I like him because he tells it like it is, So I check him out as well. Oh, so this is just on some. I watch these people. I watch this specific channel because I watched their channels separately as well, and then their sisters they came up with a podcast, but it's called the Same Brain podcast. It's two sisters. It's Justine and her sister Jenna, and
Okay. I know I
yeah.
just see.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I just like him because I like the podcast because it's not only informative, but it's just fun to like, listen to
Mm-hmm.
them and watch them, And I think, with all this craziness that's going on, sometimes you just got to break up the monotony and just like listen to something that isn't serious, but,
Yeah. I
informative.
appreciate the
Right.
lighter mood stuff every once in a
Right.
while. Like I need
You know
that.
what I'm saying? Exactly,
Yeah.
man. That's pretty cool, man. So do you have like, outside of Mojax and those sort of like the standard DJ guys, do you have sort of an underground DJ channel that you generally like to check out?
Not really. I try and because I'm in the space, I try
Mm-hmm.
not to watch too much DJ content. It's like somebody somebody said that one of my videos, I was talking about some gear or whatever, and they're like, "That's word for word from this other video." I was like, "Who's this other guy? I've never seen this video before." So like, I try, if I'm going to talk about something, like people come to see me for my opinion about it, unvarnished. So I kind of try and avoid watching other YouTubers or whatever, just to see, because I don't want to mess up my initial thoughts about it. So I think that for DJ stuff it's not a lot of people that actually watch. I do like, I'll see other people who do like scratching stuff or turntablists. I'll watch those, but when it comes talking to the gear, I don't watch outside of Mojax and a couple other people. I don't really watch other people's takes on this stuff.
You gotta watch Mojax when he comes out with something, right?
Well, yeah, for sure. I gotta watch Mojax, but like outside of that, I could. There's very few DJ people that I kind of watch.
Right.
I'm just like, because I'm a DJ and because I do this stuff too, I'm kind of like, I don't need to see more of that. And because I think that too, if you watch a bunch of people who are doing your thing, it's gonna color your commentary and you're gonna get in line with them. So I think that it could be a factor. But I check every once in a while, but I don't want to make it a religion that I have to watch everything all these guys do. I think most of my time online is like watching interviews or like stuff about movies or photography kind of stuff.
Right.
I think that's the bulk of things I watch online.
I do watch. I watch the tech guys because, like, for instance, Marquez Brownlee. I watch him because
tech
he's
guys.
Just like,
I watch a bunch of that. A bunch of tech stuff. Yeah.
He's he is it. But I also watch him because I just want to see how he does what he does. Right. Just like, okay, oh, I like that camera angle. Oh, okay, I see what he's doing. I like his B-roll. Yada yada yada. There's another guy I watch. YC Imaging. He's a sort of videographer.
Yeah.
I watch him.
Great video content. Yeah.
Yeah, I watch him a lot. I also watch Tech Gear Talk. I think it's a guy out of Philly. He does a lot of photography and also video. Obviously, I watch Lou Later.
Yeah.
Lou is pretty cool. And
there's a lot of Canadian guys in the tech thing, though.
It is, dude. I mean, like I watch the other guy. I watch. Oh man, I watch a lot of Canadian. Cats from like I said, Renee Ritchie. I like him.
Yeah.
I also watch. What's this guy's name? Tyler Stallman. He's a photographer, videographer. Okay. He's Canadian as well.
Where is he? Is he in Toronto or is he somewhere else?
He is in. I mean, I don't know how you guys sort of how this stuff is divided up. I think he's in Ontario or something like that.
So he's probably in Toronto then.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a lot of creative people in the city of Toronto. It's kind of like LA. So there's a lot of future directors or art people or photographers in the city. Like we're overcrowded with photographers and DJs. Like, there's a plethora of people.
Do not go to Toronto. Move to Toronto if you're a DJ.
I'll say this. Being in the nightlife and me spinning and stuff like that, Toronto has some of the best DJs, bar none, period. That
probably photographers
in North America.
Huh? Wow.
And photographers too. But like I say, for DJs in particular, you have to be able to play all of these different crowds. So you have to play Spanish music. You got to play Indian music. You got to play West Indian music. You got to play house music, hip hop, R&B. You got to be able to play all of that stuff as good if that was the only thing that you played.
Yeah.
And the people here will let you have it if you can't.
Yeah.
So the competition's stiff up here for DJs for sure.
The other sort of YouTuber I also watch, two others, is Your Average Consumer. And also Flossie Carter. Flossie Carter, dude. He is like, I mean, I just like him and his cat. What is his cat's name? Mr. White Shoes or something like that.
Yeah, White Shoes or something, yeah.
Right, So he created a theme song for his cat and everything. Your Average Consumer. I like, what's his name? Judd or... I don't want to not even chop his name, but, I like him because he just sort of, again, he's your average consumer, and that's how he breaks it down. So I like that, And listen, there is, and I was telling my wife this like the other day, I was like, we are in these sort of YouTube silos, right? We watch
everyone's in
this,
their little corner.
we watch this. There is so much content that we don't even touch on YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube has the power, which is why I don't understand why they won't just say, hey, DJs, you can live stream, we're gonna monetize, we're gonna make money, it's all gonna be good, right? YouTube has what's up?
No, but they're trying to turn YouTube into TV.
I was about to say that. YouTube has the power to knock out all types of paid streaming services, any and everything. They have that ability, and it could be its own platform. YouTube can just sell that off, like if they just come in and, the federal government comes in and says, hey, you know what, you got to break this, company up, and they'll make like so much more money, right? But yeah, they have that ability. But, there is so much content. Oh, some other sort of content, Naisha C too, is sort of, I watch her. She's sort of a real estate agent out of New York, and she does like these home tours, right? And I like that because
I do watch home tours.
I would love home tours, dude. Come on, and I was just like, so she does it outright. It's weird because she doesn't post a lot, but when she does, I get the alert, so I'm just like, okay, she posted something. I'm checking it out, so I also watch that. But it's just so much stuff on YouTube. Like I said, you can be in your own silo. Yeah,
you can do that for hours.
You could do that for hours, man. And I think that's what like these Generation Z and Y. That's pretty much what they do. They're like, you know what? This is my silo right here.
I think they watch more YouTube than actual TV or movies. At this point.
Lot of them don't have TV, and they're like, I watch all this stuff on YouTube. The younger millennials, all that stuff, man. It's just like, hey, I got YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. I'm done.
Yeah. So now we got to fight with the networks coming over to YouTube now. They're catering to the networks and the TV shows. That's why longer form content does better than short videos.
Right.
They're trying to compete with them. YouTube wants you on there for an hour and something watching or whatever you put up. They want you watching for a whole hour.
I would give him that, right? Because, again, we all know that YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. I was watching someone who was basically saying that, and I said this in one of our podcasts previously, that the guy was saying, I think it was Think Media. Yeah, it was Think Media, that guy. He was like, listen, YouTubers are going to, Instagram to promote their, latest YouTube videos. They're going like, to Twitter and this, that, and the other. He said the best place to promote and market your YouTube videos, YouTube. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, it's the second largest search engine in the world. And all that stuff's going to propagate over to the first largest, search engine in the world, Google. Right. So it's just like, all that stuff's going to like sort of blend in. So I was just like, oh, okay. So that's really based on, just how things are tagged, like descriptions and things of that nature, really great thumbnails, titles. It's just a, it's a science, but once you get it, it's pretty simple.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?